I keep coming back to one unsettling question every time I rewatch Avengers Endgame, and it refuses to leave my head no matter how much time passes. What if the greatest victory in the MCU secretly planted the seed for its greatest disaster? When we last see Tony Stark before the final battle, he looks peaceful in a way we had never really seen before. He has Pepper, he has Morgan, he has a quiet life away from explosions and suits and gods falling from the sky. It feels earned. It feels like the universe finally let him rest. But the more I think about it, the more I realize Tony Stark has never been a man who truly rests. Even when his body slows down, his mind never stops moving. That is where this story really begins, not on a battlefield, but in a quiet house, with a man who claims he is done saving the world while secretly wondering if he still can. I imagine Tony in that small lakeside home, surrounded by warmth and laughter, pretending that the chaos of the universe is finally behind him. Yet beneath that calm surface, something feels off. Tony Stark is a builder, a fixer, a problem solver who cannot look at a broken system and simply walk away. He knows the snap happened. He knows half the universe vanished. He knows the Avengers failed. And even though he tells Pepper he is done, even though he holds Morgan and promises himself this life matters more, there is a part of him that cannot accept an ending written by loss. In my mind, that is why the basement exists. That is why the tools are still there. Tony does not work because he wants glory anymore. He works because unanswered questions haunt him. Could time be nudged instead of shattered? Could damage be reversed without tearing reality apart? These questions sit quietly behind every smile he gives his family. This is where I think the film hides something brilliant in plain sight. Tony does not jump straight into reckless time travel experiments. That would be the old Tony, the one who created Ultron out of fear. This Tony is different, more careful, more afraid of repeating his mistakes. His goal is not to conquer time, but to understand it just enough to bend it safely. He is not trying to rewrite history or create branching nightmares. He is searching for balance, a way to move through time without breaking it. That distinction matters because it shows growth, it shows guilt, and it shows why his work is so dangerous. When someone as smart as Tony believes he has finally matured past his flaws, that confidence can quietly become the most dangerous thing in the room, especially when the universe itself is the experiment. Then there is that moment that everyone laughs at, the moment that feels like nothing. Tony is standing in his kitchen, tired, distracted, halfway between being a dad and being a scientist, when his eyes land on a photograph. Peter Parker, smiling proudly, holding an academic certificate completely upside down. It is an innocent mistake, the kind only Peter would make. Most people would chuckle and move on. But Tony Stark does not see a joke. He sees a contradiction. Something wrong that still works. Upside down, yet meaningful. Incorrect, yet functional. And in that split second, something clicks in his mind. What if the universe allows contradictions? What if right and wrong directions are not as rigid as they seem? That photograph becomes the spark, the tiny accident that lights a fire capable of burning entire realities. From there, my theory dives into one of the most fascinating concepts in mathematics and physics, the Mobius strip. A shape with only one surface and one edge, where inside and outside lose their meaning. Tony realizes that if time behaved like this, past and future would not be separate destinations. They would be parts of the same continuous path. You would not need branching timelines or authoritarian oversight to keep reality stable. You would simply move along the same surface, looping without breaking. This is not chaos. It is elegance. And that elegance is exactly what Tony falls in love with. He is not trying to become a god. He is trying to design a system where mistakes can be corrected without consequences spiraling out of control. Or at least that is what he tells himself. But here is where the tension creeps in, quietly and relentlessly. Because the moment Tony proves this theory works, even on a small scale, he understands the implication. This is bigger than fixing one loss, bigger than bringing people back. A Mobius-based model of time means the universe can be reshaped without resistance. No branches. No rebellion from time itself. Just smooth, continuous correction. And Tony, for the first time, sees both salvation and doom in the same equation. He knows what he has built could save everything. And he also knows that in the wrong hands, or even in his own hands at the wrong moment, it could erase choice entirely. That realization terrifies him more than Thanos ever did. This is the part of the story where I think Tony becomes truly dangerous. Not because he is evil, but because he is aware. He understands the weight of his discovery and chooses to keep going anyway. He does not destroy his work. He does not walk away. Instead, he compartmentalizes the fear and keeps refining the system. He convinces himself that intention matters more than capability. That as long as he is the one holding the knowledge, the universe is safe. And that mindset, that quiet belief that he alone can be trusted, echoes uncomfortably close to every mistake he has ever made before. The difference is this time, the scale is infinite. Late at night, when the house is silent and even the lake outside seems to hold its breath, Tony continues working. This is when the tone of the story shifts. The warmth drains away, replaced by isolation and unease. He is no longer just a man chasing answers. He is a man standing at the edge of something vast, something that feels like it is staring back at him. And then, without warning, the impossible happens. The door opens. Not with urgency, not with violence, but with certainty. Someone steps inside, someone who moves like they already know the room. Tony looks up, heart racing, and realizes this is not an intruder who broke in. This is someone who arrived. The figure stands in shadow, wrapped in green fabric that looks more ceremonial than practical. Metal glints beneath it, scarred and worn. Half of the face is hidden, the other half marked by damage that time itself seems responsible for. The voice is low, exhausted, carrying the weight of decades Tony has not lived yet. And when the stranger speaks, it is not with threat, but with accusation. He tells Tony that what he has created is not a tool of salvation. It is a crown, a means to rule rather than protect. Tony demands to know who he is, how he got here, what he wants. The stranger does not answer immediately. He simply looks at the machines, at the equations, at the future taking shape in that basement, and says that this discovery will cost Tony everything. Tony's fear in that moment is not of death or defeat. It is of recognition. Something about this man feels wrong in a familiar way, like looking into a distorted mirror. The stranger knows too much. He understands the theory too deeply. He speaks like someone who has already walked the road Tony is standing at the beginning of. And as the tension thickens, one truth becomes clear to me. Endgame did not end with a victory. It ended with a door opening. A door that leads somewhere far darker than we were ever meant to see yet. The stranger finally steps fully into the light, and that is when everything collapses inside Tony's chest. The face is damaged, scarred by radiation, and something far worse, but the eyes are unmistakable. They are his. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, but literally. The same restless intelligence, the same exhaustion born from knowing too much and living too long with it. Tony does not need the words to understand, but the stranger gives them anyway. He says he is what comes after. Not a variant. Not a possibility. A continuation. A Tony Stark who survived the snap, who lived through the consequences of bending time, who watched the multiverse tear itself apart despite every sacrifice made. This is not a villain introducing himself. This is a confession arriving too early. And in that moment, Tony realizes the most terrifying enemy he could ever face is not someone who hates him, but someone who believes he finished what Tony started. The future Tony explains that surviving the snap was not a miracle, but a curse. The radiation did not kill him. It changed him. Exposure to raw cosmic energy combined with repeated Mobius-based time manipulation began to erode his body and mind. Each correction to reality left a mark. Each attempt to stabilize time demanded a personal price. His face burned. His nerves degraded. His humanity slowly slipped away. But what remained was purpose. He watched timelines collide, universes crash into each other in incursions that no hero could stop. He saw gods fail, councils collapse, and infinite versions of himself make the same mistake Tony is making now. Believing freedom without control would eventually sort itself out. The name Dr. Doom was not chosen out of ego. It was chosen because he accepted what the universe needed him to be. Not a hero, not a savior, a solution. What makes this conversation unbearable is that they agree on too much. Young Tony still believes in choice, in sacrifice, in the idea that people deserve the freedom to fail and grow. Doom. Tony does not mock that belief. He mourns it. He says he believed it too once. But infinite freedom across infinite realities leads to infinite war. Every choice spawns a conflict somewhere. Every unchecked universe becomes a weapon aimed at another. Control, he argues, is not tyranny when the alternative is annihilation. And the worst part is that Tony cannot dismiss the logic. He sees the equations. He understands the projections. The Mobius model does not just allow time travel, it allows convergence. Realities folded together, not randomly, but deliberately. Chaos compressed into a single controlled system. Peace enforced through structure. Together they outline the path forward, even as Tony resists, admitting he is listening. Select realities would be merged. Unstable universes would be sacrificed for the survival of the whole. Conflict would be concentrated into a single domain, a place where the multiverse's worst collisions could be contained. Doom calls it a battlefield. Tony realizes it is a cage, a world built from broken worlds. Battle world. A place where heroes fight heroes, where gods bleed, where Doom stands above it all, not as a conqueror, but as a warden. Tony argues that this future erases everything they fought for. Doom counters that it preserves existence itself. The debate is not loud. It is quiet, heavy, devastating, because both men know neither is entirely wrong. The choice fractures Tony in a way no enemy ever has. If he destroys his work now, billions remain dead. The snap stays permanent. Hope dies. If he completes it, he sets this future in motion. Doom does not force his hand. He simply shows him fragments, incursions, worlds collapsing into each other, screams echoing across dimensions, heroes killing heroes because reality itself demands it. Tony understands then that Endgame was not the end of a war, but the opening move in a much larger one. Time travel was never neutral. It was a declaration. And once declared, the universe responded. Doom fades back into the future he came from, leaving Tony alone with knowledge that cannot be unlearned. When the Avengers reunite, Tony plays his role perfectly. He jokes. He argues. He pretends this is about undoing a mistake. But every calculation, every adjustment to the time heist is informed by what he has seen. He ensures the Mobius principle is embedded into the mission. No branching. No uncontrolled divergence. A clean loop. The snap succeeds. Lives return. The universe cheers. And then Tony makes the choice that defines everything. He snaps not just to destroy Thanos, but to anchor reality, to lock the loop, to ensure time remains bendable, controllable, survivable. His death is real, but it is also incomplete. A part of him survives in the system he created, in the rules he wrote into existence itself. What we call sacrifice is, in this theory, a transformation. Tony does not vanish. He disperses. His consciousness, fractured by time and cosmic energy, becomes the foundation Doom later rebuilds himself upon. That is why Doom remembers everything. That is why he believes so fiercely in order. Iron Man died a hero because he trusted people. Dr. Doom lives as a ruler because he no longer does. The multiverse cracks open after Endgame not because the Avengers failed, but because they succeeded too well. They proved reality could be rewritten. And once that door was opened, it could never truly be closed again. Battleworld is not born overnight. It emerges from desperation, from heroes making impossible choices, from Doom stepping in when no one else can hold the collapsing multiverse together. He does not see himself as a villain. He sees himself as the only one willing to finish the job Tony started. Control becomes mercy. Order becomes peace. And the cruelest irony of all is that Doom is right about one thing. Without him, everything ends. With him, everything continues, but at a terrible cost. Freedom traded for survival. Hope replaced with stability. When I look back at Endgame through this lens, the final snap hits differently. Tony's smile, his quiet acceptance, his last look at the people he loves all feel heavier. He is not just saying goodbye to his life. He is saying goodbye to his innocence. The man who believed technology could save everyone gives birth to the man who believes only control can. The hero who once said, "I am Iron Man," unknowingly takes the first step towards saying, "I am Doom." And that is why this theory chills me. Because it suggests the greatest villain of the future was not created by hatred or madness, but by love, fear, and the desperate need to make sure the universe never breaks like it did once before. Endgame did not close a chapter. It planted a time loop shaped like a Mobius strip, where the beginning and the end touch the same point. Tony Stark saves the universe. Dr. Doom imprisons it. And both believe they are doing the right thing. If this story ever unfolds on screen, it will not be about good versus evil. It will be about whether freedom is worth extinction, and whether peace is meaningful when it is enforced. That is the real legacy of Tony Stark. Not the snap, but the question he left behind. If this theory blew your mind even a little, make sure you like the video, share it with a fellow Marvel fan, and subscribe for more deep breakdowns like this.